Hello and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on Decoding Now, and I'm Heena Gambhir. Tika, bindi, tilak and even kalawa threads and stone rings have been restricted, raising a simple but explosive question. Are some religious symbols being treated differently than others? Is there a deliberate attempt to target a specific religion? Now, this is something that netizens are asking on social media, because this has become a big story on social media platforms, and this is what people are getting a little angry about. Now, here at Decoding Now, we decode for you the Lenskart grooming controversy. Let's first tell you what exactly has happened. So basically, an internal policy document of Lenskart has gone viral on social media, and here's what it says. Hijab is okay, but bindi, kalawa, tilak, out of frame. Now, this is something that the internal policy document has mentioned, but the CEO has now responded. CEO's admission has also come. He has said that, he's in a way apologized, and it seems like an attempt to douse the entire controversy. He seems to be in a damage control mode. The question is, was it a policy lapse or some kind of deliberate measure? Because we still don't know. What we have for you right now, viewers, is a policy document that has gone viral on social media. Basically, it is a list of do's and don'ts for the employees of Lenskart across India. After it went viral, after people started asking questions about how it is very discriminatory, we had the founder responding, Piyush Bansal, putting out a clarification on X along with an apology, saying that this is not what the company now stands for. So let's explain to you all these things one by one, how the controversy really began. It began with this particular document that you can see on your screens right now. This document went viral on social media. Now, this is basically the list of do's and don'ts for the staff, for the employees of Lenskart. It's some kind of a grooming guide that has surfaced online. Now, this document stated that religious tika or tilak and bindi is not allowed, while employees are allowed to wear black colored turban as well as hijab. So these are the things that are allowed in this particular document. Hijab, there's no problem, but it has to be black in color. Turban, no problem again, has to be black in color. Kara is okay, wedding bangles are okay. But what is not allowed is a bindi, a tilak, a religious thread that people wear on their wrist, kalawa, and other religious or stone rings. Now, these are not allowed. Now, as per reports, the date of this particular document is February 2nd, 2026. And this also reportedly barred visible sindoor. Now, there was a limit that was put on employees, newly married or otherwise, who wear sindoor. Now, even there were restrictions on how much sindoor can really be put. Now, this led to massive outrage on social media. As outrage snowballed, Lenskart CEO Piyush Bansal stepped in to contain the damage. He has put out a long statement on X, and he says the document is outdated and it is not reflective of current policy of Lenskart. He also admitted that controversial line at bindi and tilak should never have really existed. Let's now decode what exactly the CEO has said. So here is Piyush Bansal now in a damage control mode. First, in a way admitting that yes, it was an internal training document, but he said it was an outdated internal training document. Then he mentioned that it contained incorrect line about bindi as well as tilak. Then he said that he discovered the document in February and then he removed it. Admission number 4, as CEO, responsibility for such lapses, he says, is actually is of Piyush Bansal's. Now, he also said that Lenskart does not restrict any kind of religious expression. Team members, he said, are free to express their beliefs and practice their faith. This is what he mentioned in the post on social media platform X. Now, Piyush Bansal has also revealed that this issue was actually identified internally as early as February 17. Well, before it actually went viral and was immediately removed. He has taken personal responsibility, saying that as founder and CEO, he should have ensured that such lapses were caught much earlier. He's also apologized for the confusion and concern that was caused. He's also said that Lenskart does not and will never restrict any form of respectful religious expression. Now, according to Piyush Bansal, in fact, according to him, there are no restrictions on bindi, tilak or any symbol of faith in the current policy. He's also said that the company continues to review and evolve its guidelines from time to time, and that outdated documents that we saw just now, according to him, do not represent what the company really stands for today. Others are also questioning whether this reflects a deeper bias against Hindu identities. There are calls for accountability that are emerging. There are demands for boycott that are emerging as well. The reaction of netizens online has been intense, emotional and politically charged. Now, this is the question that many are asking. Who drafted this atrocious document and how did it even pass? I mean, it's good to say sorry now, but how was it even allowed to pass? This is something that a writer has written. Then we've got another Twitter user asking, is there any Nashik-like gang operating at Lenskart? Because the timing is interesting. Now, this particular story has come just after we got updates from companies like TCS and Infosys, where again, there were allegations of misconduct, and in another company, there were allegations of coercion. Now, that's why that question is being asked. Former DGP of J&K, SP Vaid, has also reacted, saying whoever is responsible should be named and shamed and boycotted. And like this, there are other reactions also that we've got on social media. For example, Shashank Shekharja, who's a lawyer, has said Hindu identities are blatantly discriminated against at Lenskart. So this was just an example of the kind of reactions we've got online. Then you've got Balbir Punj, an author, an ex-BJP leader, asking what kind of sick mindset produces such documents. So these are the reactions that we have got, and clearly these companies, these people, netizens specifically who are reacting, are not convinced with the reaction they've got from Piyush Bansal. Let's now get you some more reactions.
Somewhere some private or any organization or any corporate company they themselves are coming out and saying that the document which has been published in the social media is wrong. So they want to get this communal thing which is not facts also. In the WhatsApp, BJP WhatsApp University is such a university now. They are trying to do wrong propagandas like this. Today Lenskart issue is a live example that the Lenskart management has came forward and told that the thing which they are talking about, the bindi which they are not allowing to their staff, or some rituals what Hindus do, they are not allowing, is just a propaganda to polarize these things and make a communal feeling in this country. This is again proved that this is what their intentions is.
अगर ये जो पीयूष बंसल जी कह रहे हैं वो सही है तो कोई आपत्ति नहीं है, लेकिन अगर ये पुराना भी इस तरह का सर्कुलर है तो ये गलत बात है। ये भारत है, आप इस देश में कैसे कलेवा और टीका और ये चीजें प्रोहिबिट कर सकते हैं? आपके मैक्सिमम कस्टमर ही भारत के रहने वाले हिंदू हैं। आप इस तरह की बुर्का अलाउड है और ये चीजें नहीं अलाउड हैं। इस तरह के जो भेदभाव है वो नहीं चलेगा। तो इनको अगर इस तरह की इन्होंने सर्कुलर उसको विड्रॉ करना चाहिए, चाहे पुराना ही सही, और देश से माफी मांगनी चाहिए अपने कस्टमर से।
ऐसे आज तक कहीं नहीं सुना। ऐसे बिंदी लगाए तो नौकरी नहीं मिलती, बिंदी नहीं लगाओ तो ही नौकरी कर सकते हैं, ऐसे तो कहीं नहीं सुना। ये तो बहुत ही मतलब ऐसे तो भारत में ऐसे तो कंपनी है, फर्स्ट टाइम सुन रही हूँ ऐसे बिना बिंदी के नौकरी करना। अगर बिंदी पहन रहे तो बिंदी, अगर बिंदी लगाए तो नौकरी नहीं देंगे। दिस इज वेरी वेरी अनफेयर। ऐसे तो बिल्कुल, ये तो हिंदू संस्कृति की कंट्री है, ये तो हिंदू की कंट्री है। हर एक महिला जो हिंदू बिंदी पहनना चाहती है तो उनको हक है, राइट है, उसकी विल है, उसकी विश है। दे कैन नॉट कंट्रोल लाइक दिस। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर स्पीकिंग टू अस।
And to discuss it, I'm joined on the broadcast by Arushi Sana, who is a political analyst. We also have with us Advocate Kapil Madan, who is a political analyst. Good evening to both of you. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. Advocate Kapil Madan, to you first. What should the companies really be focusing on? Corporate governance, or how an employee should really dress up? Whether the employee should wear a hijab, a burqa, a Kalava or a Tika. I mean, what do you make of this policy document that has now gone viral, the, dress code document, and the reaction that we've got from Piyush Bansal?
So, Heena, let me begin by saying, and I don't mince my word, what appears to me clearly is that it is a case where this is a very, very poorly worded policy. And if you will ask me honestly, I don't think you can justify what is written in the policy. But having said that, you will also have to see what is the culture of that organization, what is the intent of the organization. Sometimes what happens is it is also a reality that these kind of these are standard templates which are copied and adopted by different organizations without really understanding. So that's the reason why it is very, very imperative you have a very solid check on your HR policies. What are the policies you're making? What are the policies you're adopting? Because sometimes if you don't give due caution attention to what is written, you have a situation like this. Having said that, what we've seen is that, of course, yes, there is a document that exists, but also in reality, what is happening, you will also have to see what is happening in the organization, whether any person has come forward and have said that he or she was discriminated on the religious grounds, whether there was any kind of differential treatment basis their religious identities. I have, to my knowledge, in the public domain, I have not came across anything like this. So what happens, what conclusion you can draw from here is that it is a case of a poorly worded policy. It is a case where there is an oversight definitely by the HR.
Okay.
But honestly speaking, I don't see an intent to discriminate.
Okay. Arushi Sana, where do you stand? Just a poorly worded policy and oversight and nothing intentional here? Because the question that people online are asking is that why target, symbols of a particular faith?
Yeah. No, there's obviously discrimination happening because you're allowing a turban, you're allowing a burqa, but only a bindi is not being allowed. A tilak is not being allowed. A kalava is not being allowed. Gemstones, which Hindu astrology, astrologers recommend, are not being allowed. So obviously the secularism here is not being implemented for the Hindus, but it has to be implemented by us for people of other religions. And why can't there be a standardization in the uniform? Like there has to be uniformity in the uniforms that the staff wears. Also, we just saw, I'm sorry to say, but my fellow panelist just said that he hasn't seen cases of religious discrimination. But, look at what happened in Nasik just recently, right? And TCS. So when you already have such kind of cases happening, this can't be taken lightly anymore. Because now what is the guarantee that even the customers are not going to be discriminated against? Let's say somebody enters the store wearing a bindi or wearing a tilak, putting on a tilak with maybe even churas, like wearing churas, and let's say they're not being treated properly at the store, then how are you going to justify that? I mean, is Piyush Bansal, has he gotten too busy with Shark Tank that he didn't have time to look at his, policy? Because I find it rather blasphemous that because I'm also an entrepreneur, so it's very strange that he did not read the document properly. And so it doesn't make sense. I don't think I think he has read it, but he did not, act on it. Okay. It's impossible that a founder does not know his own policies.
Okay. Advocate Kapil Madan, how will you like to respond?
So let me just begin. You can't draw, parallels between what is happening between two companies. She has mentioned about TCS, but the point is whether TCS has any such kind of a policy. To my knowledge, no.